Selamat pagi. So hari ni kita akan dah masuk week 9, lesson 9 iaitu social responsibility and ethics. So social responsibility ni it's an ethical theory in which individuals are accountable for fulfilling their civic duties. The action of an individual must benefit the whole society. Kat sini dia nak explain macam ni. Individu secara generalnya semua orang ada tugas civic. Macam contohnya sekarang COVID, semua orang kena duduk rumah dan tak boleh berjalan-jalan kalau tak ada hal. Sebab apa? Itu adalah tugas civic kita sebagai rakyat untuk protect kita, jaga kita is social distancing. Kita kena distance. Sebab tu awak pun belajar dari rumah. Okay. Untuk kalau kita amalkan not social distancing, civic duty ni, kita akan menjaga kebajikan ataupun jaga society kita. So kalau kita dapat jaga society kita, then kita dah buat social responsibility kita lah. Tu saya cakap, social responsibility kita adalah duduk rumah. Very simple. Kita duduk rumah, jadi kita sekarang ni lah as contoh lah kan. Okay. So what does it mean to be socially responsible and ethical? Maksud dia, the theory of social responsibility is built on the system of ethics, atas sistem etika, in which decision and action must be ethically validated before proceeding. If the action of decision cause harm to society or environment, that will be considered socially irresponsible. So masa yang kita PKP masa yang kita PKP yang betul-betul PKP yang tak bersyarat tu, and some people like go out lah, kari kepala kambing lah, whatever it is. So lepas tu kita semua marah dia, sebab kita rasa dia socially irresponsible. Dia tak responsible for their action. So that's why kita marah dia. So kita ada tanggungjawab sosial. Tanggungjawab sosial kita tu bukan untuk diri kita, tapi untuk masyarakat. Okay. Sebab apa? Okay, moral values are inherent in society, create a distinction between right and wrong. In this way, social fairness, believed by most to be in the right, but more frequently not than not, this fairness is absent. Every individual has a responsibility to act in a manner that is beneficial to society, not solely to the individual. So, maybe orang yang keluar tu, yang dia nak makan ke, dia nak enjoy ke dengan kawan-kawan dia, dia rasa macam, itu aku punya suka lah, stress lah duduk rumah. Tapi dia tak socially, dia tak responsible. Sebab apa? In the society, right and wrong tu is very clear. Okay? And it's not fair. Orang semua tak keluar, jaga distancing semua, tapi dia keluar, and then people get angry. Kenapa? Why do you get to go out? Yeah, it's not fair. And then not only that it's not fair dia keluar, it's not fair that dia boleh cause harm to other people. Kluster kepala kambing, kluster kepala otak kau, macam-macam kluster kan. So lepas ni bila pula benda ni akan settle? So that's why society is angry. Okay, so when do social responsibility and ethics apply? So when? Bila? So dia applies in individual and group capacity. Okay, group capacity contohnya kita bagi rakyat Malaysia. Malaysia secara group, as a collective group rakyat Malaysia, kita decide tak nak keluar. Okay, tapi adalah individu-individu yang keluar, kita marah ni. So that's why individual pun mesti menjalankan juga projek ni. Maksudnya if you want to jaga social distancing, individu mesti terlibat untuk menjaga juga social distancing tu. It's not only one person. Okay. So, dia kata kat sini, it should be incorporated into daily action, decision, particularly ones that will have effect on other person or the environment. So, it must be taken into account. Apa kita buat ni, how does it affect society? So, saya cakap, when you post something in social media, you must think about, okay, does this affect our unity? Kan? Oh, we become like Americans. Kita nak keluar. This is our right not to wear mask. Adakah kita macam tu? In larger groups, capacity, a code of social responsibility ethics is applied within said group as well as during interaction with other groups or individual. So kita kena responsible. Macam saya ada responsibility untuk mendidik kamu. So kalau saya kena mendidik kamu dengan benda betul, saya tak mendidik kamu benda salah, sebab kamu akan keluar menjadi orang yang ada fahaman yang salah. Okay? So kita sambung lepas ni. So that is ethics. Tapi sebab subjek kita ethics civilization, and kita punya fokus is nation building. So nation building ni kita akan fokus kepada social responsibility kita yang kita panggil, or we call it NEP, or dalam bahasa Melayunya dasar ekonomi baru. So it's a social engineering affirmative action. Apa itu affirmative action? Affirmative action tu bila ada satu society tu ketinggalan, kita akan bantu dia supaya dia boleh bangun. So dia boleh bersaing sebab dia banyak kekurangan. So kita, kerajaan bantu dia untuk dia lebih boleh membangun. Okay, dia berbeza sikit lah dengan dia berbeza, maksudnya dia berbeza di ketinggalan dari segi peluang. So jadi kerajaan maksudnya bagi dia level playing field. Maksudnya dia dapat sama juga, startup program tu lebih kurang sama, so dia boleh bangun. Okay. So dia sebabnya aftermath of May 13, rusuhan kaum 13 Mei. Jadi tahun 1969, tahun 1971, dalam 20 tahun NDP buat satu projek ni sampai tahun 1991, itu dasar ekonomi baru ataupun DEB. Okay. So kita nak tengok DEB ni lebih lanjut lagi lah. Okay. So dia punya goal, the goal is for poverty eradication. Poverty eradication is simply economic restructuring so as to eliminate the identification of ethnicity with economic function. So basically it's about explaining like this. Fungsi-fungsi contohnya macam orang Melayu kerja kampung, or orang Cina businessman, or India kerja di estate. So dia nak eliminate benda tu. Dia nak restructure society. So semua orang maksudnya maksudnya semua orang boleh venture into any occupation that they want. Okay. So jadi so dia buat how to by redistributing wealth to increase ownership of enterprise by Bumiputra. Sebab Bumiputra banyak ketinggalan lah. So the target was Bumiputra 30% Bumiputra equity in business. Okay. So this economic growth will allow the non-Bumiputra share of the economy to decrease while permitting growth of non-Bumiputra business interests in absolute terms. Expanding pie theory. Okay. So the Bumiputra would grow. Bumiputra pie would okay. Create incentive to expand large-scale manufacturing industry, energy-intensive industry, targeting this industry macam high-com semua industry. Just created this industry for the society to grow. Okay, for the Malay society to grow economically. Okay. In conclusion, pendek je video hari ni. In conclusion dah. Okay. Nation building can be succinctly understood as total progress and sustainable growth of the country. So kalau a country, so if the economy dwindles, meaning economy very weak, and then education is weak, and then safety tak ada, and then persistent state of the poor and the state stricken with poverty, maksudnya orang semua miskin. So all these things akan affect society tu. Okay. So nation building ni is to build up a nation. So maksudnya it can be reconstruction of peace, state building, impending acts or natural calamities. Okay. So semua benda ni kena di-build kan. Maksudnya macam kalau ada banjir, kena stop banjir. This is what does it mean. Okay. So government policy or local effort towards nation building ni involve juga dengan ethics. What is ethical to do. Okay. And then not only kita kena modernize, not only maksudnya coerce process of modernization, Communities, nation in a community socially construct. Imagine a person who perceive themselves as a part of the group. Members of the community may probably will never know each of the other member face to face. However, they may have similar interests or identify as part of the same nation. Sovereignty, and harmony of the nation depends on this. So nation, walaupun orang cakap itu tak adil, ini tak adil, stand as one in coherent solidarity when it's channelized, motivated by mass intended towards its progress. Collective consciousness is refutable elements toward nation building. So kita kena collectively understand that this NEP program is not only for us, but it's for the nation. Okay, not modern concept, but approach nation building has been tweaked pro-modern ways. So it's there. It was always there. So hari ni itu je video kita. Sikit je, because we are approaching towards the end of the semester already. We have like a few more lectures. Lepas tu I think it will be the end of the semester. Okay. Anyway, please do your homework. I'll put the exercise online. And then I'll see you again next week. Okay, bye-bye.
You have selected case study 2. It was just a careless mistake. Please follow through the story closely. You are David, the finance director in the company.
Finally, I'm done with the review. Linda, what is the matter?
David, I would like to report that one of our major customers, Super Private Limited, has just returned to us most of the shipment of goods delivered to them towards the end of Q4 in the last financial year. The total sum of the goods returned is $4.5 million.
$4.5 million? That's going to bring down the sales performance. Okay. Thanks for informing me. I will need to inform the sales director.
Okay. I will make the required adjustments for your review.
David, what is the matter?
Johnny, listen. Super Private Limited just returned a large amount of goods. It's $4.5 million.
About that, I can explain. My staff made a careless mistake. He shipped 50,000 units instead of 5,000 units.
I will need to adjust the sales figure downwards by $4.5 million then.
Can you wait till January before putting through the sales adjustment instead of putting it through in December? It was just a careless mistake and everybody is looking forward to the bonus from our good sales performance.
I am afraid not.
David, please, you know how this adjustment will affect our sales performance. All our bonuses will be badly affected.
My bonus will be affected too, but the accounts should always be true and fair.
I have already reprimanded my staff and the matter is closed. Do not insist on adjusting the numbers and make everyone suffer because of it. We can speak to the CEO.
Now let's review and understand the learning points from this case study. First, there could be a self-interest threat, since the potential adjustment would lower bonuses. Second, there could also be an intimidation threat, as Johnny said he would escalate the issue to the CEO after David insisted on making the adjustment. David insisted on making the adjustment to the sales in the correct financial period, even though this would lower his bonus. If Johnny gets the CEO to apply pressure on David, David may consider consulting the audit committee or those charged with governance. In the worst case, David may have to consider resigning to disassociate himself from the unadjusted financial statements, which would contain misleading financial information.